All right. HBCU, my HBCU combine standout, meaning one of HBCU players that were in the combine and he performed well. Uh, Basically, he ran a 4.4. He's 6 foot, 191 pounds. Uh, good good length. He ran a 4.4. I don't think he did the other drills, but he did run the 40. But watching him in the recent Senior Bowl, he did play good. Now he had a couple of up and down series where he did give us some plays, but I thought with him playing against the other talent, Division 1 talent, him coming from a Division 2 school, HBCU, Virginia State, he played great. Um, Going to coach because JB, I don't know you know about him. What you think about Willie Drew?
I think he has a lot of potential. Like you said earlier, I think they're probably going to penalize him a little bit for being a HBCU player. Me personally, I think he's about a third round selection. Now,
I agree.
whether he gets drafted that high or not, with those HBCU players, it kind of depends on how they evaluate him. It's kind of hit or miss. But in my opinion, I think he has a third round grade. Hopefully he gets drafted that high, even higher. And more than anything, hopefully he excels and plays well, and he shines a positive light on his HBCU and just HBCUs in general.
Okay, all right. JB, what do you think from what you heard?
I think he's gonna be a solid little cornerback for someone. Maybe a fourth on a fourth DB on the depth chart.
Hey JB, try to change your headsets. Maybe that's the issue.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, but I agree. He may be. I think he will be a solid slot corner for someone. He may be a steal in the third or fourth round. So I agree with both of y'all. I agree.
Yeah, for a lot of Southern University fans, I think he kind of reminds me a lot of Jerry Wilson Jr. And Jerry Wilson Jr. He was like you said, he was a nickel back for a lot of years for the Miami Dolphins. In the NFL nowadays they call it a slot corner, but it was a nickel back at the time. And Jerry Wilson Jr. was about a third, fourth round pick, and he had a long NFL career. So hopefully he can have that type of career.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move on to the next topic. All right, we going. All right, fellas, we about to go into HBCU down. Okay, let's see. So first group, and mainly coach. We gonna analyze since we've been talking about these players during the season last year. Um, I really want to see them on the NFL roster. Of course, in reality, that may not happen. Um, but it's not gonna stop us from talking about it, right?
Without question, bro.
All right. So we have here. Um, we have here. Sandiata Anderson from Grambling State. Davius Richard, quarterback from North Carolina Central. Jordan Carter from Southern. And defensive lineman Deblonsky Green from South Carolina State. Um, what are your thoughts? In my opinion, I believe these young men will can make a ball club and do fairly well. Especially Sandiana Anderson and Jablonski Green on that D line for a ball club. Um, what are your thoughts, coach? And what is one of your what player that you see you think will do have the best chance of doing great in
Well,
the
first of
NFL?
all, I think all four of these players have a lot of upside and potential. I think, but of this group, I think Sundiata Anderson he has the most upside and potential in terms
I
of
agree.
him being an edge rusher. You know, elite pass rushers are at a premium in the NFL in today's day and age. So I think somebody like him, I think if he could be like a third roundish type pick, uh, I think I mean, really, if he get drafted in any round, for the exception of like the being a last day pick, like being a 6 or 7 round pick, I think anything above that, I think you got to steal because he can get after it. I think he gonna be. I honestly believe in this group, he's definitely gonna make it. I think Jabonsky Green, I think he has potential, but just like most other HBCU players, it's kind of hit or miss from the standpoint of you don't know how he projects on the next level, and you don't know from evaluation standpoint what the NFL is looking for. Now, of course, on this particular list, the player that I've seen the most is Jordan Carter. When he came to Southern, they had him being an NFL prospect, and he kind of got overshadowed by Corian Harris last year at Southern. So I kind of really didn't pay as much attention to him because Corian Harris made a lot of plays on the back end. He kind of erased a lot of Southern University's defensive mistakes. Whereas this year, with Corian Harris being gone, Jordan Carter was able to step more into the forefront. And for those individuals that follow Southern University football and remember former Southern University quarterback, strong safety Sean Wallace, he was the '93 Defensive Player of the Year. He was Defensive Player of the Year in the SWAC the year Coach Pete Richardson took over his first year as head coach, and Southern won the SWAC and the Black National Championship. Jordan Carter kind of reminds me a lot of Sean Wallace, but for those individuals that don't know him, if you watch him play at Southern, he kind of reminds me a lot of when Teron Matthew, the Honey Badger, was at LSU. Not this version of the Honey Badger that we see that played for the New Orleans Saints, but I'm talking about the LSU version of him in terms of him being able to blitz off the edge, him being an extra man in the box, and him being able to cover a lot of ground. Jordan Carter, he has a lot of those same traits and attributes. I think the only thing about him on the downside is the fact that one, he plays in the SWAC, but even though the moment he stepped foot on Southern campus, they were talking about him as a pro prospect then. So that kind of showed that he had NFL potential even when he first came to Southern one. And I think his size might be another deterrent. He's kind of about the same size as Sean Wallace was in his prime at Southern, maybe somewhere between 5'9" and 5'7". I don't know what his actual height is. And he's somewhere maybe around 185, 190-ish. So, even if let's just say he's 5'9", 190, 5'9", 195, they might kind of take that height against him. Even if you look at Teron Matthew, as dominant as he was at LSU, once he got to the NFL and you have him sticking tight ends and even playing in the slot a little bit, like his height was a disadvantage. So I think that might be a hindrance to Jordan Carter. I think he'd probably be a late round pick, like maybe 6, 7 round pick.
I agree, six
Not,
or seven.
yeah, now in terms of Davius Richards, I'm gonna be truthful. I think he has NFL talent. If you saw him last year in the Celebration Bowl, to me, I think he's extremely underrated.
Yes,
However, I think his performance, in the recent HBCU All-Star game, essentially that's what it is. I think that's kind of being taken. That's gonna count
against
against
him.
him.
Yeah,
But
him
not
getting
only
hurt.
that,
Yeah,
but I think a lot of people view him as like a glorified running back, like a bigger, stronger version of, for those individuals that used to watch West Virginia play, probably a bigger, stronger version of Pat White, maybe not as polished a pastor. That's one analogy I heard. I kind of disagree with that, but I'm gonna be
yeah.
truthful.
I think he may be. I'm gonna say this. I think he may be a better passer than Pat White.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm gonna be truthful. I think, many individuals don't think he's gonna be a good enough passer. So I think if anything, I think in this group, he's probably one. Well, he might be him, and I think Jablonski Green. They're probably the two that might not even get drafted, and they probably
Can I be honest with you? I think
teams
I
are
can. Go ahead.
teams are probably gonna invite them to be, undrafted free agents and see if they can make the roster like that.
I suggest my Ravens. Like if Tyler Huntley uh is picked up by another ball club, I suggest my Ravens either draft him in the seventh round or get him as an undrafted free agent and have him on the squad. You know what I mean? I think he's that good, man.
Eh, eh,
Um, go
I
ahead.
agree 100% with you, bro. And that's one thing people don't point out. You know, a lot of times, they cover this on our local news channel. A lot of these HBCU players, whether people realize it or not, if you're not gonna get drafted in the sixth round, especially if you fall to like the very bottom of the seventh round, you rather be a preferred undrafted free agent where you kind of pick and choose where you want to go, as opposed to being drafted in a late round of a team, and they may have, especially if it's a loaded team like maybe the Kansas City Chiefs, and they may have already have somebody that's already playing that position you play, and it might limit your chances of making a roster. Whereas you might have a team where you could pick that team. You figure, hey, I have a better chance of making this roster. You kind of want to choose your own destination if you're going to be like a very late round draft pick, especially if you're close to being Mr. Irrelevant.
Yes, I agree with you, Coach JB. Any thoughts on this group of hidden gems? I believe that can make noise in the NFL.
Can y'all hear me?
Good, great. I can hear you
Yeah,
great.
bro, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. I like um Jablonski Green from South Carolina State. I think he's gonna be a steal for somebody. Um, really, Jordan Carter, coach can tell me more about that.
He
Davies
he did.
Richard,
Hmm.
um, Davies Richard. I think he's gonna be probably a project quarterback for somebody. Like you said, like if um Tyler Huntley goes somewhere, we can bring him in, and or we can just bring him in and for camp and have him compete. So he'll be in competition for the backup quarterback spot. And Sandiata Anderson, um, hey, he probably more than likely going to be an undrafted free agent and compete and beat somebody for the job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because
Now,
I think he's the
Um,
most NFL ready out of everybody.
yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, bro. I know you don't watch as much HBCU as we do, but of this group, Sunday Anderson has the best chance, I think, of getting drafted because
right.
NFL pass rushers are at a premium at this point. And honestly and truthfully speaking, I think he has the most upside potential of this group. I think Jordan Carter, I kind of broke it down when you were, trying to get back on the stream. But, for those people that haven't watched him play, he's kind of like a swag version of when the Honey Badger or the Teron Matthew came out of LSU. That's kind of like a accurate comparison. He doesn't have as much range as the Honey Badger had when the Honey Badger was at LSU. So I think that's the only difference. So his like a height and his like a size might be one deterrent for him. But it is of this group, if I had to rank, I think Sunday Anderson has the most upside and potential. I think Davius Richard, he probably is the one individual that's not going to get drafted, and more than likely he'll probably be an undrafted free agent. And I think uh, Jordan Carter and Jablonski Green are kind of in the middle. And for those individuals that have not been on my channel, like Jordan Carter has his own YouTube channel where he only has like 2 or 3 subscribers. More than anything, the premise behind his channel is just to kind of highlight his game footage from Southern, for NFL scouts and prospects. At one point on my channel, I'm going to use YouTube's fair use policy to break down game footage of Jordan Carter in his senior year here at Southern, and August Petrie III, who is also a wide receiver at Southern that transferred from Rice, and he's an NFL prospect also. So on my channel, I'm going to break down Jordan Carter and August Petrie III.
Okay, we definitely gonna be there for it, Coach. I would love for you to do that. But I'll put you like this, JB. Sundiata Anderson, I believe if you give him a year and give him in off season and training, he beats out Adolphe Owe. That's how talented he is.
Bro, I'm gonna keep it real. I don't even think it's gonna take him a full season. I think he's
I
only,
believe it, bro.
I think he's
I
NFL
believe it.
ready right now because pass rush is at a premium. You can put him on the squad right now. He's gonna be to get after your quarterback.
I believe it, man. I believe it. Um, Another guy, I didn't have him in the slide, but I should have. But um, Isaiah Major, one of the best linebackers in the FCS, in my opinion. Am I off, Coach?
No, bro, he a dog, and
From
the thing,
FAMU,
thing people don't realize about him is a pass rusher. He probably look like a notch, a couple steps below Sundiata Anderson, but as a linebacker, he kind of plays from side to side. He could get off of blocks. Now, the thing about the current NFL landscape, I don't know if he's gonna be able to cover like you might want a linebacker in the day and age to cover. But in terms of him being able to play from sideline to sideline, him being able to shed blocks and get downhill and make tackles, and him being able to blitz and rush the passer, honestly, I think he's another guy that should get drafted in the NFL. You know, is maybe like a later round, maybe like a fourth, fifth round kind of guy. No later than six at latest. But I think he another player. Even if you just brought him in as a pass rusher, I think he NFL ready. I think aside from him, I think the one other player that really kind of jump off the radar to me, as a Southern University fan, I think August Petrie the third. I think the issue with him is the fact that Harold Blood played quarterback, and he really didn't
he
have a
didn't get
quarterback.
he didn't have quarterback.
He didn't have a quarterback that could really get him the ball out in space. But the New Orleans Saints are raving about him, like they have a lot of interest in bringing it in August Petrie the third, even as an undrafted free agent. I mean, really, truthfully speaking, they speaking higher of August Petrie the third, and they didn't even draft him higher than they talked about, Shaq Davis before he actually went to the Jets. So I'm sorry, not the Jets. I mean the Eagles. Before they let Shaq Davis go, and he ended up going to the Eagles. Like they speaking higher of August Petrie the third than they ever spoke about Shaq Davis. So it kind of goes to show you that there's talent in the HBCU realm.
Yes.
If teams are willing to give them an opportunity.
Yeah, I agree, man. But Isaiah
Real,
Major, go ahead, JB.
real quick, um, I was just looking at Jordan Carter's highlights. He remind me of Bob Sanders.
That's high praise.
I definitely can see that because Jordan Carter is a thumper. He's an extra. Even though he's a DB, he's an extra linebacker in the box in terms of run support. He ran a lot of plays down from the backside. And I definitely could see that, he's all over the field. He makes plays. He could cover. He kind of, like I say, Bob Sanders is a accurate description. I would say more in terms of size and the way he plays, his aggression. I think he's a prime Honey Badger, a prime Teron Matthew when he was at LSU. I think both of those analogies are excellent.
Right, because he's a smaller DB, but he comes to the ball violently, and he makes plays like on running backs. He's stripping the ball. He's trying to make a play on you, and when he comes uh, to the point of contact, he coming aggressively.
Yeah,
So
I mean, he's very aggressive and he's a ball hawk. That's one thing about him during the course of the season. Every play Southern either had Jordan Carter, Kelby Givens, and Taj Brown around the ball. And Jalen Campbell, he another NFL prospect too, but he didn't get as much. He didn't garner as much attention as Jordan Carter did this season.
Okay. Y'all cooking, man. But back to Isaiah Major though, I believe he definitely is NFL ready. It's just if teams willing to draft him, if they did the research on him. Um, but moving on. All right, we have Trevion Green, linebacker, undersized, just 5'11", 204 pounds. But um, when he did the combine in your New Orleans Saints arena practice facility, coach, a lot of the commentators were saying that NFL teams are may looking at him to be moved to safety because he ran a 4.4 and he's very athletic, and very built. So he may be playing. That may get him on the squad. But moving on, Javion Howard, running back. You know, I raved about him.
Yeah, he a
Uh,
beast.
he a beast. Uh, Latrell Collier, running back. Um, North Carolina Central beats bruiser back, man. And then bad white boy Bubba Colton Adams, linebacker, Alabama State. I think he'll be a good special teamer for somebody, in my opinion. Um, who impresses you out of this bunch, Coach? Or
Of course, you and I, we in agreement. I think Trevion Howard, he a dog. Even if he doesn't get drafted, I really think he can make an NFL roster. Now, I think the thing about it is, with the spread, pass happy league that we live in, you know, I think he can catch the ball out the backfield. He's not the best in terms of, maybe he's not on the level of like former LSU and current Kansas City Chiefs running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's not on that level. But in terms of running between the tackles, I think Trevion Howard is a dog. Of course, Trevion Green, he's athletic. He has a lot of versatility. I think of this group, I think Colton Adams, one other SWAC channels I follow, they felt like Colton Adams should have been the SWAC Defensive Player of the Year. I think he had a great season. I disagree. I don't think he was a SWAC Defensive Player of the Year in my estimation. That's just my personal opinion. And of course, Latrell Collier, he another one. I think he's more of your prototypical type running back in the day and age. But I think of this group,
he
I
got a
think,
mean stiff arm,
yeah, for
Latrell.
real, it's straight on the savage. But I think Trevion Howard and I think Trevion Green, those are the two players that have the most upside. Like you said, I think Colton Adams, I could see him being a gunner on your kickoff team and him playing all the special teams. And I think probably of this group, I think Latrell Collier, I think he probably is like on the lower end, but I think he has an excellent chance of making it because he's more the prototype guy.
Yeah, and I think Bubba Colton, or excuse me, Colton Adams, he can play special teams and work possibly in 1 or 2 years. He's so talented and his work ethic is so amazing. He can eventually work into a starting role.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Trevion Green and Javion Howard from Alcorn State. Um, Definitely impressed. They especially Javion Howard. He was, man, best running back in the SWAC in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. Now I disagree with him being the best running back in the SWAC, but he definitely a dog, without question.
Man, if he was at that offensive line, man, better offensive line that he had last year, trust me, man, his numbers will be way better. But
Well,
um,
I mean,
but
even
the
again,
SWAC, but to your point, there was some dog running backs in the SWAC, bro.
yeah, yeah, that's
I can't even. But in my opinion, just looking at how he ran the ball, how just smooth, man,
well, I
smooth
mean, the thing about it is,
workhorse.
I think the thing about it is, I don't think it's the fact that his offensive line was trash. I think they were more like tailored towards passing the ball because when they played against Southern, like they gave him the ball to pretty much end and close the game. But that first half, like they were just pass happy. The only time they really didn't run him the only time they ran him the ball in the first half was when something say, all right, you know what? Y'all killing us in the passing game. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna put a three-man front and we're gonna go to more like a quarter dollar type defense, and we just gonna sit back and we just gonna play the pass. Then after that, they say, all right, y'all gonna do that, then we just gonna let him run the ball down y'all throat. And that's what he did. And then in the second half at the end, he just was icing the game. Southern was loading up the box. He still was just running through people. So, you know, maybe it depends on who they played against, or maybe the offensive line was up and down. But from what I saw, I was impressed with the offensive line. I think the only thing that would gave me a better evaluation of the offensive line is if Taj Brown would have played. He was hurt in that game. He didn't play in that game. But I think if they'd have had both Kelvin Givens and Taj Brown for that game, it'd have gave me a better idea of how good the offensive line really is. But I think they're more built for for passing the ball than running the ball this particular season.
Okay, I definitely agree. JB, what's your opinion on these a group of hidden possible hidden gems?
I'm familiar with these players. Trevion Green, not so familiar with. Javion Howard, you schooled me on him. Very good running back. The Trail Collier, Beats, like you said, Bruiser back. Um, They'll get you 3 yards and drag about two defenders with them. You get extra. Bubba Colton Adams, side to side linebacker, and I like how he get off blocks. He'll put his nose in there with a guard or a center to get off blocks. So I like how he play, and he might don't be. I wouldn't be surprised, like you said, if he's on somebody's special team running down a punt returner or a kick return.
All
So
right, all right, love it, fellas, love it. Let's move on. And last three, we got Zarion Hayes from Alabama A&M. He was the MVP of the HBCU Legacy Bowl. He showed his you know what off. Irv Mulligan, um, another bruising back, workhorse running back from Jackson State. Amari Hill Robertson, cover corner from Bethune Cookman. One of the highlights of their defense, even though their season wasn't that great, but he good cover corner. Uh, Coach, what you think of this group of
Well, first and
possible
foremost, in terms
hidden
of
gems?
Amari Hill Robinson, I mean, he did a good job against August Petrie the third. He did a good job against Jalen Howard. He did a good job against uh Chandler Whitfield, and he did a good job against Cassius Allen. He pretty much played all four of Southern University's top wide receivers, and not just him, but Bethune across the board. A lot of teams, they mixed up coverage against LSU. I mean, against Southern this season. But basically, when they played against Southern, Bethune DBs were like, you know what? Especially with Amari Hill Robinson, like they played a lot of man-to-man across the board, a lot of press coverage, a lot of bump and run. And basically, Southern has four dogs at wide receiver. They pretty much erased all of them. The thing that really got them going is even though, Harold Blood is really not that type of athlete, the fact that they were playing so much man-to-man and their pass rush was so aggressive, basically he was able to take off and run. And that's kind of what opened up things for Southern. Once he really got to running the ball, it kind of opened up the rest of their offense. In terms of Zarion Hayes, we talked about, how he got off last weekend in the Legacy Bowl. He did his thing. He a dog. I think he another one. I think he's gonna be able to rush to pass on the next level. Even if he don't make it in the NFL, I could easily see him being in the UFL for a couple of years before he make an NFL roster.
And
And
ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean to cut you off. Ain't nothing wrong being in the UFL, but that'll be he need to be on the NFL roster,
no,
man.
no, no,
He
no, no.
just
I agree with you 100%, but I'm just saying if he don't make it because you
no.
like
I'm not just. I'm just not saying that it's just a shame how talent like did get passed. I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
disagreeing with you. Just because Zarion Hayes, he was originally recruited. He was on the Appalachian State Mountaineers squad, and if you know anything about the Appalachian State Mountaineers, they're famous for recruiting defensive ends or edges or outside linebackers that are undersized, but they're bulky. They got that girth, and they big, and they know how to come around that corner. And he's an example of it. And he a dog, man. So he transferred to uh, Alabama A&M, and I mean, you know the story. He was been wreaking havoc in the SWAC. So if you don't have a tackle that was decent or can get lower than him, he's gonna win 9 times out of 10.
And of course, Irv Mulligan. Irv Mulligan was a dog at J State.
Beast that
Yeah,
Wofford too. Out of that, was it the wing T they ran over there at Wofford?
yeah, yeah,
Wofford
yeah, yeah,
Carries,
yeah, yeah,
and he was the fullback. He played
yeah.
the fullback
And then
position.
and then he transferred to J State. He showed his behind,
Yes,
especially when they played against Southern. So he another one. He like your NFL, your prototypical modern day NFL running back. He 5'10", he about 205. He can run between the tackles. He can
and
catch the ball out the
he runs
backfield.
like he's 230.
Yeah, for real, for he really does, and he catch the ball out the backfield a little bit too. So I'm gonna be truthful. I kind of see all three of these guys making an NFL roster, but like we talked about last week, it's a numbers game. So hopefully, this whole crop of players we talking about in the HBCU realm, hopefully as many of these guys make an NFL roster as possible.
Yes, yes, I agree, Coach JB. What's your opinion on these three possible gems?
I love Irv Mulligan. I loved how he ran at when he was at Wofford.
Yes, sir.
Um, Sarian Hayes, you schooled me on him, as well as Amari Hill. Um, Zarian Hayes is gonna, like you said, like I said, um, might be probably go unfortunately undrafted, and then he has to probably fight his way onto a roster. Irv Mulligan, I wouldn't be surprised if he go in the sixth or seventh round. Omari Hill Robertson, probably the same thing. Not because, not just only because he's on Bethune Cookman, but Bethune Cookman wasn't really good this year, so probably undrafted and fighting himself onto a 52, 53 man roster. So
Okay,
both of these three players, they might be gems, but these NFL teams got to go get them. They got to try them out. You know.
I agree. I agree. And man, like there's so much talent, man. It's you just want to see these boys get they shot they shine, man. But only we will see when it comes around that draft time. You know, we'll see if a lot of the NFL teams been doing their homework. But that's why we have this show to let you guys know. Um, so if your team drafts any of these young men, hey, don't sweat, don't get mad. You may got a winner. All right.
Hey,
But
and for me to close out this particular topic, we didn't talk about, Southern University players like Taj Brown, who last year was a nose guard and was second team all SWAC. They moved him to defensive end this year, and he still made second team all SWAC. And then you got a guy like Jalen
a lot
Campbell.
of them, bro. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you got a guy like Jalen Campbell. Like JB was saying, he's a sideline to sideline type linebacker. He could cover a little bit. He could rush the passer a little bit, but he didn't make any of the all SWAC teams. And then of course, you got, we talked about Jordan Carter. I talked about August Peacher the third. He's a wide receiver that transferred from Rice to Southern. He another one. He has his own YouTube channel. Actually, as we speak, he's in law school. I think he just finished up, so he's in law school and he's trying to make an NFL roster. So just think about, he's in law school trying to make an NFL roster. So it's going to be interesting to see. A lot of teams have been raving about him. So it's going to be interesting to see how many of these guys from Southern University and just from the SWAC and just the HBCU realm in general make NFL rosters.
Yes, yes. I'm be glued to the TV. See if we see um somebody from the HBCU squad. make it onto the roster. We'll see. Um, but fellas, it was a pleasure. Going, I had fun going over these athletes with y'all, from the NFL, the combine to uh, go talking with the situation with Cam Newton. Thank you guys for hanging with us this evening. Um, Coach, let everybody know where they can meet you and see you.
Well, you can catch me at Coach 67 Sports TV on all social media platforms. I finally have a Facebook group with Coach 67 Sports TV. Also, you can catch me on X, which is formerly known as Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram. However, I'm primarily here on YouTube at Coach 67 Sports TV. Yesterday we did a special after dark edition of Bayou Sports Talk. Last night was episode 35.
Which I enjoyed.
In addition to that, right before this show came on, I did a Southern University sports news where I talked about Southern University basketball, Southern University football, and that's primarily what I talk about on my channel. Talk about football, talk about Southern University, SWAC news, that type of thing. So primarily it's a Southern University channel, it's a HBCU channel. And we talk about a variety of sports topics on Bayou Sports Talk every Saturday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. JB, thank you for, especially behind the scenes, helping me and just being here, man, supportive, and all you brothers, the LDBC, to my Baltimore Ravens, Flock Nation family, all y'all. I appreciate y'all. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. Love y'all. Y'all have a blessed rest of your Sunday night. This was another installment of the Southern Baller Show. Y'all have a blessed night.
Y'all be easy.